All right, welcome everyone. Get right into updates here, or intro and updates. So these monthly meetings, wide variety of topics we've been addressing: EnviroDIY monitoring stations, stream monitoring, often focused on these synoptic sampling type events, general freshwater ecology concepts, data to action, tools and resources such as model my watershed, monitor my watershed, and then other miscellaneous topics such as the one we're going to be into today, which is ArcGIS story maps. Here's the agenda. We're actually not going to have work group updates. Work group is on pause for now as we wrap up some of the documents. We're still all keeping touch. We're not going to be meeting though, so feel free to be in touch if you're interested in getting any support or whatever from the work group. Using ArcGIS story maps to disseminate water quality data. It's going to be by Musconetcong Watershed Association today, Craig Fleming specifically. Meeting is being recorded. All the recordings are available here at this page on Wiki Watershed. Meetings are every third Thursday, although I may as well just say it now. I have a slide on this, but we are going to be pausing these meetings for the time being. Stroud Center needs to be kind of wrapping up some Delaware River Watershed Initiative deliverables and such. So we're going to be pausing this meeting. You can still all be in touch. You can feel free to reach out to the Stroud Center as usual about anything, but we will be pausing these meetings. But as a reminder, this is a Delaware River Watershed Initiative effort. That is, we're supporting it with those funds. And folks are, working in that as well as in the DRB are attending these meetings. Four States One Source.org, EnviroDIY webpage. Seesaw, another way that we're supporting this work within Pennsylvania, Consortium for Scientific Assistance to Watersheds. Stroud Center team currently, myself, Krista, Shannon. Lots of stewards, master watershed stewards involved. Some of the main ones: Carol Armstrong, Joe Debus, George Seeds. DRWI leads John Jackson, Matt Earhart, and Dave Arscott at the Stroud Center. So as we've been doing these meetings, we've been, and this DRWI work from the Stroud Center perspective, supporting groups in doing monitoring using the stations as well as other monitoring methods for collecting data, and then supporting with data analysis and developing tools to communicate the data. So we'll get into a few updates here. Okay. So community science support, Stroud Center is continuing to offer these ways to assist with groups across the basin, doing monitoring, project design, and developing methods, doing data interpretation, general education, also facilitating these synoptic sampling events. So please feel free to be in touch if you need assistance or just want to collaborate on any of these types of things. We will continue to be available to do that. And this was, I mentioned this, that we're going to put these meetings on pause for the time being. It doesn't really mean anything as far as like my or Shannon's or Krista's or other Stroud people's availability to work with groups in the Delaware Basin. We're just going to be pausing these meetings for the time being though. Okay, so that's all the updates I had. Any questions before we move on to Craig's presentation? Okay. So Craig is the Water Quality Program Coordinator at the Musconetcong Watershed Association. He's going to tell us about um, using ArcGIS story maps, both public with the public service and the purchase service. And he's going to weave in the ways that they've used it in their monitoring and specifically their salt monitoring program. So I will stop my share. And Craig, if you want to share your screen and take over.
Sounds good. Thank you for the introduction, Dave. And thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. Let me just get my screen up. All right. Can everyone hear me and see the presentation? Awesome. So like David mentioned, I'm going to be presenting on using ArcGIS story maps to disseminate water quality data, and more specifically, data that we've been collecting through pre and post road salt monitoring, as well as our synoptic salt snapshots. All right, so just a quick outline. First, I'm gonna go over who our river watchers are and the data that they collect, which kind of drove our mission behind trying to disseminate a lot of this data. Then I'm gonna go in a little bit on how to put together a map with ArcGIS Online, some basics of story maps, the elements of a story map that you can access for free, those that you can access with the subscription, and then kind of just wrapping it all up at the end. And over here is a little picture of our watershed. As you can see, it's a nice, long, narrow watershed. So that kind of gets me to our river watchers. As you saw in the last picture, the Musconetcong River, it's 42.5 mile long river. And so our water quality department consists of myself and Krista Reeves. And so the two of us can't do it on our own. And so we've been lucky enough to have a group of community science volunteers that we've called River Watchers. And this year is actually their 18th year of water quality monitoring, which is amazing. And they help us monitor for macroinvertebrates, road salts, harmful algal blooms, and then we're going to be starting a bacterial monitoring program with them as well. And these are all rotating on a yearly basis. So these monitoring efforts reoccur every year, which lends us to all of this data. So you can kind of see over to the right, we have about 22 macroinvertebrate and habitat assessments that happen annually, over 100 pre and post-storm data points, 80 plus salt snapshot data points, and over 500 HAB data points. So there's a lot of data, and there's a couple different ways you can go about disseminating that data. One of them, which I feel like is a very common way to show the data, would be to put together infographics, you know, a two-pager. However, as you can kind of see in the image here, we did our best with this. However, I feel like sometimes it can be a little too cluttered. Maybe there's not enough information there. But we're gonna get into that. I just want you to take a look at this, and I'll kind of be referencing it a little later on. So, ArcGIS Online. So it's free. It might be a little tricky to find since Esri, who's like the main organization that kind of put together ArcGIS, they obviously want you to pay for a subscription. However, you can create a free public account. I took the screenshot in the top right corner over here, right from their website. If you just search ArcGIS online free public account, it should bring you right to their website where you can find the link here. I actually put the steps down at the bottom here. But not only is it a way to kind of work with and store data, but allows you to analyze the data. And then really what I'm talking about today is then sharing that data. So I'm going to do a brief overview on how to build an ArcMap. you can kind of see this is a snippet of the salt snapshot data I have in the picture right here. So these are just screen grabs from the ArcMap user interface, just to kind of show you the steps to go along. There's these things called layers, and you add layers to your map, and then you can customize those layers. So in the top left image, I added the Huck 14 boundaries in New Jersey to the map. And then the image under it is me filtering out just the Musconetcong watershed. And you can even go a step farther. You can change the way the different polygons are represented. You can have them just be a plain outline. You can have little hash marks through. So there is a decent bit of customizability in ArcMaps here, which lends itself to the ability to represent a wider array of data. So you can have polygons, you can have points. The points can be as simple as all just one color, or you can even put them on a color scale and have that color scale relate to different parameters, which is what I did a little bit later on. So we'll get to see that. So then, let's say I added that the Huck 14 layer, I added my data points. And this is kind of where you come to with the final map. So I took all the chloride and conductivity snapshot points that we took, and then I based them off of the different criteria levels and gave them that color ramp with green are the low levels, orange, and then up to red. And it is worth mentioning, so obviously ArcMap, the maps that you make through ArcGIS are going to integrate the best into story maps. However, you can still just use Google Maps. I know that's a lot more user-friendly, and so you can still link those maps in here. But I'll kind of talk a little bit later why you might want to just be using the Arc suite of applications. But Google Maps is definitely an option. You can also, too, it is worth mentioning, if, again, you still want to use the Arc suite, you can just upload the Google Map. It's a KML, KMZ file, and you can just upload that into the Arc as well. Just put that out there. All right, so we'll get into some of the basics of Arc story maps. So it allows you to present the data in a narrative format, which is nice. It helps you tell a story. And that can help you disseminate some of the data that might not be apparent to people. So some people might not know why we measure chloride and conductivity together. You can help paint that picture in the narrative format that story maps kind of lends itself to. And it's pretty clean and precise. There is, again, customizability within them. However, the layouts do follow a general format, general set of rules. And so it keeps things nice and clean. Like I've been mentioning, data can be presented in a variety of different ways, which I'll get to in a little bit. It allows you to embed links and other relevant content. And then the really big one, that really sets story maps apart from something like an infographic is that they can be easily updated and republished. So when our river watchers collect their yearly data, it's just a matter of updating the Excel files that the data is housed in that will then update the maps that will then update the story map. So now elements that can go into a story map using the free version. So you can include data tables, whether that's in the form of the actual data table or if your map is representing a data table in, again, that map form. I had mentioned maps, videos as well, social media links, organizational links, call to action links. And that's kind of all highlighted in these pictures over here. This is taken directly from the story map that I'll kind of walk us all through, so I'm not going to go too in depth with these right now. So now, some of the things that you can do with the subscription would be a data dashboard. And first, I want to thank a previous presenter in the group here, Anna Willig from the Willistown Conservation Trust. She actually showed me how to put together this data dashboard after her presentation. I think it was a month or two ago, which has really helped because that was one of the pieces of feedback we had gotten from our volunteers is having a little bit more customizability within the data there to help them do some of their own calculations or inquiries. And so this has kind of helped push that along. And so other things that you can, the subscription allows you to add would be audio, something called a timeline, and then image galleries, and other higher level embedded content. All right, so kind of pulling everything together, before you create a story map, it's always a good idea of understanding the message you're trying to send along, as well as who'll be viewing the story map. It kind of helps you cater the information that you're trying to put out there. But again, one of the good things that you can do with this story map is it allows the user to kind of interact at their own level. If they want to have a deep dive into the data and the information that we're presenting, they can. However, if you just want more of an overview perspective of things, it absolutely lends itself to that too. What I'm showing down here in the three sort of images, I took the information, the text from that two-pager infographic that you all saw earlier, and I just copy and pasted it into a Word document. And then I took all the information and text from the story map. This isn't including any pictures, images, anything like that. And I just put it into another document, and you can just see the wealth of information that a story map can house versus that of a two-pager. So I hope you guys can see my cursor, but this first image on the left is just that infographic, and then the story map are these two full pages over here. All right, so bringing it all together, part two. Like I had mentioned, you can house a story map on your organization's website, and then it makes it easier to direct people to. And the nice thing is, even if people aren't searching for a story map or that information, if they're going to the website and just kind of perusing on their own, they might find it and have any inquiries regarding it. So a good example is two municipalities within our watershed had seen the story map, and then they had reached out to us to follow up with them and do some more education and outreach, which is amazing since that was the intention of the story map. And then, like I had mentioned, you can link pertinent resources to the story map. And one of the links that we have inside of our road salt story map is a municipal outreach template. So it's a template for municipalities to put together different road salt related ordinances. So if, the municipality doesn't know where to start, we kind of can provide the bones for them. And another nice thing about the story maps is that it has a view count, so you can see how well viewers are engaged with it. If you notice engagement isn't up, you can kind of do some outreach, see what people are looking for, what they aren't looking for, and again go back and modify as needed. And kind of what I had mentioned. So because the format is similar across all story maps, once people start to familiarize themselves with them, future story maps will only become more easily navigable. And so I had just started with this road salt story map, but our intention is to continue these story maps with all the different monitoring that we do for macros, HABs, bacteria. And this just, kind of having them all similarly put together will help people navigate through them. So now at this point, I'd like to kind of just walk us through the story map, just so you can really understand how things work and through it. Is everyone seeing the story map? Awesome. Thanks, Dave. Okay, so you guys can kind of see we have our larger, I guess I'll go to our home page first. So this is our nice little home page. Go to our data. And it's housed right in here. So you scroll down, have a little introduction. And something that I didn't know initially, but had learned along the way, you can also add different header sections to the top of your story map, which can allow users to jump directly to different points. Since some of them, like the MWA, has significantly larger story map that we're using. And so, scrolling through 200 pages of text isn't necessarily the easiest. So you can just use these to just jump to the different parts within the story map. If, like I said, people that might not understand the science between both of these, you can link in other websites, like this brings you right to the EPA website on why conductivity is measured, and it also discusses the relationship between conductivity and chloride. You can also link in these images. You can set the size, whatever you'd like, but the nice thing is you can always zoom in with them. Scroll down. So you can have a different legend within the maps that at a glance kind of overviews what's going on, but there is some interactive capabilities within here. So this map is just a map of the different road salt monitoring sites that we have. But let's say you're someone who wants to volunteer for the organization and you're interested in road salts and you're curious, okay, if I reach out to the MWA, what region would I most likely be working in if I were to reach out to them? You can type in, like I'll just type in the MWA's address and it'll zoom right into that point. But then you can zoom out and kind of see what areas you're closest to. You can also have the map expand all the way out. You can do a current location. So you can kind of see some of these customizable options in action here. Like I had mentioned, you can link in YouTube videos, which is great. Back in 2022, Krista had put together a road salt roundtable. And so we have our video linked right into here. And this next part is called a side cart. So what you're going to see is as I'm scrolling through, the kind of website almost stays the same. You can have a little bit of text for each picture. And again, what I really like about this is because, the road salt monitoring in particular was very volunteer heavy event, we get to showcase them, which is fantastic. They spent their quality time and effort and they deserve all the credit coming their way. And so we, like I said, you have some text, and as you scroll through here, it all changes. And so each region, we had 5 different regions for the salt snapshots. Each region got its own picture and sidecar to give them a little bit of information, why that region may be important, why elevated chloride conductivity levels may be harmful in that region, what might be explaining it. And so now here is that really awesome data dashboard. Just let it load quickly. And so you can see all of our different data points here with their conductivity and then chloride readings. And like Anna had showed at their presentation, you can lasso a group of sites, and there you go. It filters just those site data. And for something like chloride, you can even put in criteria limits with them. Um, so yeah, and you can clear that out. Down. Um, we also linked in here our EnviroDIY stations, since they all measure conductivity and there's that conductivity chloride relationship, it links you in and shows us some of the sites that we monitor for. So you can go in here and see if there are any continuous monitoring data next to any of those sites. And again, do some of that own inquiry and analysis, if you'd like to. And then in this section, we start to give people some skills that they could pass on. Here's that sample letter. This one's to a private business for oversalting from anyone can find this. And then, again, if they're not sure where to start, this provides them that template. Same thing with the municipal ordinance here, and you can just download it. And then you can also include success stories. So this one had been passed along from Coudhay, Wisconsin, from the Wisconsin Salt Buys. But I think it's a great representation. I mean, the picture itself, says a thousand words. The picture on the left is before the machine was calibrated, and then the picture to the right was just purely after machine calibration. And you can see the decrease in salt usage. And then scroll all the way down and we have a link to get involved. So if after our arrows, someone's done reading this, they think to themselves, hey, I want to help with road salt. They can go down here and click on volunteering. Right here. And so I did include some additional resources for people. Krista, if you don't mind copying and pasting them into the chat for people. But if you have any questions, kind of figuring out how things may work, how to pull things in together, um, feel free to shoot me an email. I'm happy to walk things through. One of the reasons I like presenting about this is that when I put this all together, I hadn't taken any serious GIS class. Everything I've done was self-taught, and that was either through Esri products, through free online tutorials, or YouTube videos. And so if I can do it, anyone can do it. And so it's just reassuring to me. So yeah, that's all I had for there. Did anyone have any questions? I do apologize, I talk fast.
Craig, I had a question just as in terms of the cost of the subscription or subscriptions. Is there one straight cost or are there different levels or?
So it does depend. They do have a nonprofit subscription, and it's a good and bad thing. So Esri is constantly updating their products, which is great because you're getting the latest and greatest. However, things do change. When I had started, the original subscription was called something, then halfway through it was called something else, and now it's called something else. But the good thing is that at least the trend is that they seem to be combining a lot of the different services into a larger umbrellaed subscription. And so now the subscription we have is, I think it's called Esri Professional Plus. And so it's $100 yearly subscription
Oh,
per user. But it is that yearly usage. And there is a much larger suite of applications that you can use with that, that I'm kind of just starting to really dip my toes into, which actually brings me to the next statement, I guess, is um, I would love to kind of move along with this and grow with this and potentially incorporate. There's an app called Survey 123 through ArcGIS, that allows people to input their field data directly into the Arc software where it can house that data. It just helps streamline the process. So if there's anyone on this call that knows Survey 123, please reach out to me. I'd love to learn and pick your brain.
Great. Thanks, Craig. That's
Mhm.
a lot less than I was expecting. $100 a year. That's
Yep.
not bad at all. There's a question from Carol Armstrong. Was the municipality interested in general in the information from your story map of Musconetcong, and or did they have specific questions or concerns? Krista gave a little
Um,
bit of an answer there.
okay.
She said they wanted help mitigating non-point source pollution.
Yep, yeah. So it was a combination of help with the road salt and then also more of that bacterial issues. So it was a combination of both, but it was great because it got our foot in the door.
Is it because the Musconetcong was a drinking water source for them, or what was the nature? Why did they care about those things?
I can jump in
Um,
here a little bit because
sure.
I went and followed up with the municipalities, Carol. It was just, the ECs, what you call them, EACs, engagement, through some of the data, through looking through the websites, and just being concerned about, the data that they were seeing on the salt levels, the bacterial levels, and just starting to see the magnitude of non-point source pollution problems that was happening in surface water, and especially in the upper watershed, where there's lakes, there's a lot more primary contact, meaning people get in and swim and things like this. And so they were also concerned about bathing beaches, the ability to recreate and closures and things like that as well.
Okay, thanks.
Um, just a question about the levels. What are the highest levels of salt contamination that you guys are seeing?
Um, we've been seeing chloride close to the 300 milligrams per liter,
Oh,
I
wow.
think, but it's very few and far in between. A lot more of the data are in that like rising chloride level, more of that like orange colored.
So like in the 100 range?
Hmm. And
Uh-huh.
that would be in our two more urban centers. Um, so it makes a little sense, unfortunately.
Yep.
I noticed
Um,
the
oop.
the southwest part of that watershed, was that downstream or upstream? That was upstream, or what part of the watershed was that?
That
Is
was
that
downstream, Carol.
that was downstream near the
Yeah.
confluence with what? With the Delaware? What is it?
Yeah, so that's the confluence with the Delaware.
Because that, when you circled that to show how you could use that tool, the results showed low levels in most of the points that cropped up there. Low levels of, I guess, conductivity or chloride. I was surprised.
Yeah, that's the lower part of our watershed is a lot more rural. Um, and so that could have lent itself to that. We were trying to, we took a lot of our readings at some tributaries that weren't necessarily the easiest or closest from roads to get to. But again, we were pretty widespread. So we were just trying to get baseline for as many different, tributaries, main stem points as we
True,
could.
that's just baseline. Yeah, that's not winter. That wasn't winter, right? Okay.
Yep, correct. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so we have some other questions here. First, Nick Ho is mentioning about paying for credits and says, so if you have lots of data and media that you want to upload, then it could potentially cost more. Um, Craig or Nick, can you expand on that or explain that a little more?
Yeah, sure. So certain things within ArcGIS Pro, I'm not positive about online, but certain geoprocessing tools that you use could cost credits. And then just standard data storage does cost credits, but it is relatively low. It's about, I think we're at 100 credits per month. But with the purchase of that subscription, you do get credits that go along with that. And then I think it's an extra $100 for like 1,000 credits
Gotcha.
that last 2 years, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm. Yeah, so I guess to expand on that, if you're using the Arc Pro desktop program, when you're doing your spatial analysis, it's free. They don't charge you. It's when you're doing that analysis on the ArcGIS Online is where they start charging you. And then if you're doing what you said earlier with Craig with the Survey 123, if you have a lot of volunteers uploading pictures and all that, it does eat away at your credit because we're using right now about 400 credits a month. So yeah,
Okay.
so that, and I believe it's like $120 for 1,000 credits. And yeah, I think it's 2 years from when it expires.
So Nick, are you using 123?
Yeah, we use like 123 for our volunteers. It's really easy for them to just it's easy for well, the reason why we use it so that they don't need to have a Esri account to enter in data or to gather data. So that's the reason
Great.
why we use Survey. Yeah.
So there you go,
Um,
Craig.
can I ask about how many volunteers and how often would you say they're uploading data for that like credit usage?
We're probably getting about anywhere from 50, 100 to 100 volunteers. Aaron Stretz like runs our like a kind of a salt watch program.
Mhm.
So you can have like hundreds during like the winter time, and they're probably doing like twice a week
Yep.
data uploading. So or gathering. So yeah, it all depends. Yeah. So it's a good amount. It's not like just one or two. Yeah, like if you're only having a couple of volunteers, then it's fine. But if you're having hundreds, then especially when they're taking pictures at the sites, that's a lot of storage.
Awesome. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Hey, Craig, this is pretty impressive. You said that you were self-taught. About how long did you put into it before you could produce something like this?
So the story map itself was very easy to put together. Once I had all the different components that I wanted inside of it, actually putting it together took me maybe a week with the different reviews. I sent it to a couple coworkers, here and there for review. Um, Leading up to that, I mean, I'm at now probably a year and a half's worth of ArcGIS experience. Um, But with just the story map itself and just putting together some of the basic maps that I had showed you and kind of put in there, it would probably take me, I don't know, I worked on it on and off for a couple months. Um, So I think it would depend on um, if you're able to block out bigger chunks of time to be able to work through it. I was kind of putting this together, here and there, an hour here, an hour there, across that time span.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Craig, could you go to the Jennifer's asking about the Esri nonprofit account? I think she may have come in a little bit after that or something.
Mhm.
So Jennifer, chime in if if you have anything additional you want to ask, but Craig laid it out there as far as the process to use that account. And as you guys know, we'll be posting Craig's presentation on the resources page.
I don't know if I think I alluded to it, but they will, when you go on the website, they will try and feed you a free public trial. Don't do the public trial because they'll want to upgrade that to the paid subscription. Just go
Mm,
right to the creative free public account.
mm, good tip. Um, So Ian is asking, what packages does your subscription give you access to? Do you have access to the spatial analyst extension?
With the paid subscription or free version?
I think he says your subscription, so I assume
Okay.
he means the paid one.
Yep. Let me see here real quick if I can pull up all the different add-on packages that come with my subscription.
Oh, here Nick says $100 a year package gets you pretty much everything.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. There's, I can just show. So these are all the different add-on extensions that come with that Pro subscription. But the Arc Pro itself can do some pretty impressive things without these extensions. But
So it's a yes to spatial analyst.
yep.
Cool. Okay, moving on. Grace is asking, Craig and Krista, what was your initial outreach to your municipality presentation length? Individual conversations, meetings? Question mark.
Yes. The answer to that is yes. As part of writing a 319 plan and working on a vision plan and putting together these story maps, we kind of did a tour of the watershed where we put together informational outreach sessions. I think we all in all ended up with about 7 or 8 of them. And we talked broadly about water quality, what people want to see when, growth happens in their area, how, like what's the vision of growth in their area? How do they engage with the river? Just all these types of things to get the conversation flowing. And then we did talk about the data. That was kind of the second part of it, is showing what we see in the data, what the issues and concerns are, like what are the challenges to be met, and how we can accomplish those tasks. Then we had individual conversations with DPW people, EC members, mayors, all walks of life, residents, people that volunteer at other nonprofits in the area. And then we did have follow-up meetings with a couple of interested parties, more that were concerned about what they saw and what they heard, and they wanted to know what they could do about it. And so we scheduled follow-up meetings to meet with them and really talk through, some of the best management practices that they could implement within their municipality to help with these issues.
Thank you. Great.
Jennifer has a question. What is involved in embedding a story map into a website?
So it might depend on the type of website that you're using, but it's the story map itself creates an embed link. So all you do is copy the embed link, and then you can copy it right into whoever's whatever service is housing your website.
And I see Nick followed up to that and said, usually your website has some kind of widget where you can embed another site. Does that answer your question, Jennifer?
Yes, thank you. I thought that was probably the case, but as we're here and this is a good opportunity to ask, I'd ask that question. Thank you.
Yep. Makes sense. All right, so that seems to get through the questions in the chat. What else? Do other folks have any other questions or with regard to Craig's stuff or otherwise?
Can I go back to my question, which was about the free accounts for non-profits? What you have there is just a free account that anybody can get, right, Craig? Because I was starting to go through the process of seeing if we could get them to approve our watershed association for a free account, and it seemed like it was going to be quite a big process. And at that point, we hadn't yet got our nonprofit status finalized, so I didn't go any farther with it. But you're saying that this is an alternative. It's much simpler. You can just go and get a free account for anyone. I never found that. I found their website very, very
Yeah,
convoluted, I think,
it
on
is.
purpose.
I definitely agree with you on that one, Jennifer, unfortunately. However, their customer technical support is great. They are very responsive, they follow up, which is very nice. Because I have run into some issues like re-upping on the licenses, things like that. But they're pretty responsive, which is nice. So what I'm using here is it is a paid nonprofit subscription. So it is paid, but there is a discount still versus the normal paid subscription. But you can still have a lot of these customizable options on just the free public account.
Okay. And how complicated was it to go through the process, and how long did it take to get approved for that non-profit subscription when you did it?
I would have to look into that. My predecessors were the ones that actually had set up our nonprofit ESRI status. But I can do some digging and I can reach back out to you if you want to put your email or something in the chat.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, Jennifer, do you know when you will get your nonprofit status for your watershed organization?
We have it now, but
Oh, yeah.
when I was looking at this a while ago, and we didn't have it at that point.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, like what Craig said, their customer service is really good. If you call in to their number, they'll put you in the right place and they'll have somebody like contact you, or you can talk to somebody and they'll like walk it through with you. So they're really good about that. If you're
Okay.
Yeah, like the
Thank you.
website, like it is complicated, but their customer service is pretty good.
Okay.
They do,
Thanks.
if you can, they do a lot of like screen sharing where they'll go on a Zoom call with you. You'll share your screen and they will actually just go through and like circle, press here, press there, press this, press that. So they really do walk you right through it.
Is that, Craig, Nick, is that call-in number easily accessible or prominent?
Yeah, I mean, if you just Google like Esri contacts or support, you should get some number, and then they usually have a help desk person just trying to figure out where your questions belong, and then it'll put you into the right queue, depending on like what type of question you have. So yeah.
And even going beyond that, like if you have any technical questions while you're actually making an application or like doing any sort of analysis, they have fantastic customer service to help you with that as well.
And Craig, you said that you intuitively figured this out yourself. I was actually wondering if there, and maybe if anybody here knows of anywhere that you can take some kind of a class on doing this that's free or very, very inexpensive. That's something I was sort of like thinking through. Where could I find some kind of instruction on this without having to pay an arm and a leg? Because it seems like Esri offers that as part of their upgraded service where you're paying a large amount of money, but like for an ordinary person. So I don't know if anybody's got any input on that.
Yep. So I have I think some of those links that Krista had put in the chat. They're also linked in my presentation. So when I send that over to Dave for him to kind of send out to people, you can access them through there. But Esri has a wealth of different training videos or just like walkthroughs. And they organize them based off kind of what you might be looking for. Like you can have just a basic fundamentals, like what buttons are where. It could be task-based, like how to put together a data dashboard, things along those lines. Some of them are free, some are paid, but there you do have some of those options.
Okay, thank you.
And Jennifer, Ian put in the Esri technical support number there for you in the chat, excuse me.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Thanks, Ian. Let's see here. We're at 3:25. Anything else? Other questions? Feedback? Jill says, great information and ideas. Yeah, this is really informative. Craig and Krista and Nick and Ian, thanks for contributing.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you guys asked questions and had some good input. I appreciate it.
If anyone has any follow-up questions, Craig, is it okay for them to get in touch with you?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
great. All right, well, if there's no additional questions, then we can end the meeting. Yeah, definitely, Krista. Great job. Very nice, Craig. Thanks a lot for doing that. And you know, so we're as I mentioned before, we are putting these meetings on pause for the time being. But please remember, you know, we can still be in touch as a community of you know, groups in the Delaware Basin, and feel free to reach out to the Stroud Center if you need. And you know, we work with a lot of you on a one-on-one basis. So, and clearly by what we've seen in this meeting is that, you know, there's a really nice network of folks that know one another and can support one another. So I think we need to remember that we can, even though DRWI is ending, we can still take advantage of the relationships and the community that has been built over that time.
Kind of as a follow-up to that, I had another last thought question, which is, are there any other people slash groups represented in this meeting today who have made storyboards? Pennsylvania groups that have made storyboards, whether it's as elaborated as the Musconetcong or not, you know, simple or otherwise. Has anyone else used this technique for their associations? Or maybe on an EAC page, or, you know?
I work with the Broadhead Watershed Association, and we have done some of this type of stuff, but only using Google My Maps.
So you're okay, not using
not using the ArcGIS.
ArcGIS, but
yeah.
Okay.
Ian and Nick, have you guys put these story maps together in your situations?
Yeah, so the Watershed Institute, we have we use story maps. It's on our website right now, the Watershed Institute. I mean, the watershed.org. So we do a lot of water quality data collection, and then we publish it out in a story like ArcGIS, Arc Online, like our ArcGIS Online dashboard style. So we put that on our website if you want to check it out.
And
yes, that would be good. Yeah. Go ahead, Ian.
No, I don't know. David was just asking if I had experience, and I have. Though it's been a while since that was a couple of years ago, and as Craig mentioned earlier, they constantly come out with updates, so I need to relearn some things. But yes.
Ian, you did GIS work in your graduate studies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well, what I was thinking is, if there are organizations here, Ray, and then what's your first name? Mr. Ho. I don't remember.
Yeah.
There you are, Nicholas. If is there a way, David, to say them clearly in this video so that in this recording, and then we can go back, and I'd like to go back and look at them, see some examples of how people are using them in addition to the Musconetcong.
Yes. Why don't I just write it down, and I will put that in the follow-up email with the recording. Does that sound like okay, Carol?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay,
Thank you.
so Nick, Ian, you have something, or well, yeah, I'll put Ian. Carol, you're talking about listing the folks here that have experience in this.
Yeah, who have it up somewhere that we can go look at it.
Yeah, okay.
Look at your example. So it's the Musconetcong Watershed Institute, and Ray, even though it's not ArcGIS, would like to look at what you did too, if you could say that organization.
Okay.
Yep. I could put my the story map on the chat if that helps.
Why don't you do that, Nick?
Okay. So yeah, so I just put in the 2023 Clean Water Report card. Central Jersey is where we collected the majority of this information.
So everything I'm looking at is the story map.
Yes. Yeah, it's a little, I mean, it's a story map, but then, you know, there's tabs that you can go through to see the different parameters. So yeah, I mean, like story maps, like ArcGIS Online, like all that, they have a lot of things. Like what Ian said, they're constantly changing. So every time you come back, like a couple of months later, they're adding a different way of doing things or a different way of showing things. So yeah, it's just constantly there's constant changes. So what we're doing now, it might be different next year because we found a better way or to report it.
I mean, you're looking at it from the point of view of how you make them, but some of us are coming from the point of view of, well, what are our purposes? What is it that we want to say? How do we want to use them? And that's what's nice to see different examples of how the information's been used.
Yeah.
As a starting point to develop a beginning of what we might want to do.
Yeah.
So got Ray's as well, Ray Roper's as well.
Carol, also Jill Kemp with Angelica Creek Watershed Association notes that she did what she's calling amateurish one, which she says she's going to revamp after hearing this, but that would be another one to check out. And I guess all of you folks, Nick, Ian, Ray, Craig, and Jill, if you want to just email me with the links that you think will be best to share for the distribution list email, that would be great. And then I'll have them right there and just put them into that email.
I could do that. I would describe ours as pretty amateurish also compared to what Craig has been talking about, but
well, nevertheless, it seems like it's good to see what folks are doing, have that frame of reference. Thanks, Ray.
Yeah.
David, is there a Stroud one that would be belong in this?
An intern actually just did a story map on geez, I can't even remember what it's a nice one. I can't remember what it was on, but it was a story map, and I don't know if she used the full free service or if it was a paid. Jan, you don't know, do you? What that intern did?
And is it on the Stroud site somewhere?
I don't know. It just happened, so I don't know if I think it has been put out there. So I will I'll look into that.
Thank you, David.
And
thank you, the presenters, Craig and Krista, really got our wheels turning, I think.
Yeah, yes. This is great. Just gonna I just want to copy out some of these things before we check out. Actually, and I'm going to stop the recording now.